Right, hello guys, DJ Bagpuss here and welcome to my match review of the Emirates FA Cup Final 2018 at Wembley as Chelsea face Manchester United. But I started to think, rather than just do a match review of the FA Cup Final 2018, why don't we just do a whole review of the entire FA Cup campaign season 2017-2018. So not only are we going to be reviewing the match from the FA Cup Final, but we're also going to be reviewing the FA Cup campaign as a whole, really, because I thought, why not? I've done a couple of FA Cup videos in the past, so today I'm going to treat you guys with a proper in-depth FA Cup season review, also reviewing the FA Cup final. And I want to start this review by just saying, I think a deserved pat on the back. A deserved pat on the back for me is Inbound, because not only and normally my predictions are normally never ever right. I never ever get my predictions ever spot on, but for the FA Cup, I got my predictions bang on. If you guys remember, a couple of months ago, I uploaded a video titled Who Will Win the FA Cup and Champions League? And in this set video, I said that who I think is going to win the FA Cup. Not only did I predict that it would be a Chelsea-Manchester United FA Cup final, but I also predicted that Chelsea would go on to win that set FA Cup final. Now, I made those predictions on the basis of, that was just after. So we had the semi-final draw. The draw had just been announced. So it was Chelsea-Southampton, Manchester United up against Tottenham Hotspur, and that was the basis and the information that I gathered from that was how I based my prediction. And you could be sitting there and the counter argument to that would be, well, it was a semi-final draw, that's really easy to predict. But Chelsea-Southampton, yes, on paper you'd say that, yeah, Chelsea-Southampton and FA Cup semi-final, on paper Chelsea should breeze through that. But this is Chelsea at the end of the day. They don't do things normally, and they've had an absolutely horrendous season, so that wasn't an easy prediction. And Manchester United against Tottenham Hotspur is also not a particularly easy prediction, because both of those two sides are very, very decent. And I mean, normally Manchester United always pull through in the big moments, so the basis of me thinking that Manchester United were going to pull through, and also the fact of a Chelsea-Manchester United FA Cup final, Mourinho up against Conte, it was just written in the stars. And normally those football moments that have been written in fate, the fate normally is preceded. So not only did I get my prediction right to predict who was going to be in the final, but also I got my prediction right on who actually went on to win the FA Cup final. So pat on the back for me. All things considered, I did that remarkably. I'm going to take this off because I'm absolutely freezing today, but it actually, as soon as I start recording, it gets really, really warm. So I'm going to quickly take this off. But yeah, let's quickly, before we jump into reviewing the FA Cup as a whole, let's jump into reviewing the FA Cup final. And you know me, I love the FA Cup. I think it's a great competition. I hate how people disrespect the competition. It's not the main prize that you want. It's not the prize that everybody goes for. At the start of the season, you're not sitting there thinking, all I want to do this season is win the FA Cup. It's the Premier League, it's the Champions League, and then anything, after that, is kind of just a pass, really. As for Arsenal, and I was quite upset, considering Arsenal are, the most successful side in FA Cup history. It was a shame, this time last year, Arsenal was celebrating lifting an FA Cup trophy. The fact that we didn't even get past the third round was, it's quite upsetting, really. It's not as exciting when Arsenal are not in an FA Cup final, but the FA Cup final is respected, it's cherished, and yesterday, in general, it was just a great day to be British. The Royal Wedding in the morning, the FA Cup in the afternoon, got to see Deadpool 2 as well, so it was a pretty happy Saturday, really. But yeah, Chelsea-Manchester United is always an interesting game, okay, and, people were predicting that the final itself wasn't going to be an exciting game, and it wasn't an exciting game. It was a pretty poor FA Cup final, all things considered, and it's, nobody was surprised by that, just because of the fact that, the way Manchester United play, very defensive. Jose plays a very, mindful game, and, he's particularly worried. If I was a Manchester United fan, I'd be particularly worried with all of the, the star-spraggle side that he's got, and all the money that, Manchester United have splashed out. The fact that they play such negative football, but again, when you look at the stats, they did create chances, they played the better football, in the final yesterday, but they don't play attractive or exciting football. And it wasn't a great spectacle, but by any means it wasn't a great game. But again, did anybody find that surprising? I didn't. I found that that was to be expected. I certainly thought it was going to be a fruitful affair. But I kind of thought in the back of my mind, it wouldn't surprise me if this was just going to be, whoever scores first. And, even my dad said that, who is absolutely elated with winning the FA Cup. Whoever scores first was going to go on to win the FA Cup, really. But I backed Chelsea 2 months ago when I made that prediction, and I said all day, Chelsea was so that they were the underdogs, and what I've learned is that in the FA Cup, the underdogs always prevail. You look back to last year when Arsenal faced Chelsea in the FA Cup final. Everybody, Chelsea were going into the FA Cup final with, winning the Premier League title, Arsenal coming into it, missing out on the Champions League, not playing particularly great football, having an absolutely horrendous season, and Arsenal turned up and not only lifted the FA Cup, but they battered Chelsea in the process. I don't think Chelsea battered Manchester United incidentally, but they certainly were the underdogs. Nobody expected Chelsea to win, and I think that suits the underdog, more, because if nobody expects anything of you, you don't have that incisive pressure going into the FA Cup final. And once again, Chelsea did play particularly great. Hazard really was the main difference going into that FA Cup final. He was the difference, and the penalty, I do think it was a penalty. I don't think, when I first heard about it, because I didn't see the whole game, I've catched up on the whole game this morning because I was out last night, which again was really triggered that I missed the FA Cup final. But then looking at the overall game, I didn't really miss anything much. When I was reading about it, it sounded like it was an absolutely horrendous challenge. It was a cynical challenge. It should have been a red card. And when I look at it, and I might just be in the minority making this statement, I do think it was a penalty. I don't think it was a particularly bad penalty, or a particularly bad challenge, to warrant a penalty. Certainly wasn't a red card. I mean, Phil Jones got the ball. He got the ball, but he also got the man. And if you get the ball, but you also get the man in the penalty area, it's a penalty, really. I mean, Hazard kind of fell over in a slightly odd fashion that maybe from the outside view made it look like the challenge was worse than what it actually was. But I mean, a yellow card, I could understand, that being given. But I really don't think there was anything too malicious at it. I don't think Jones, was malicious in making that challenge. I think it was one of those where, he wanted to get the ball, he got the ball, but he also took out the man, and it was a penalty. A typical penalty from Eden Hazard, one of those where, to allow and to trick the best goalkeeper in the world in David De Gea to go the wrong way. He went left, Hazard went right. Absolutely cute, a beautiful penalty. Chelsea just held on, really. I think they played better in the first half, and again it was one of those games that was a tale of two halves. Chelsea were better in the first half, Manchester United were better in the second half, but in the end Chelsea held on to it. And Jose Mourinho just doesn't help himself whatsoever. He's so negative, he's so arrogant, really, at times. He's putting so much pressure and putting so much verbal hatred to these young players. I mean, Alexis Sanchez, who's known for, in the FA Cup finals for Arsenal, really causing problems. Scored in the FA Cup final, opened up the FA Cup final last year against Chelsea. Scored that absolutely ridiculous goal against Aston Villa in the FA Cup 2015 in the 2015 final. And he has a habit of turning up at Wembley. We saw what he did against Tottenham Hotspur in the semi-final, but he did nothing yesterday. He did absolutely nothing yesterday. There was nothing there whatsoever that made anybody think, oh wow, good job that Manchester United have got hold of him. They're not playing to his strengths. They're not playing to the strengths that he's capable of. And he doesn't look like he knows exactly what he's doing. And I'm not saying that just because he left Arsenal. I think he actually probably misses Arsenal, because I don't think the move to Manchester United has helped him in any shape or form whatsoever. But fair play to Chelsea after losing. Losing a final is the worst feeling in the world. Take it from an Arsenal fan. When we lost the Carabao Cup to Manchester City, it is an absolutely horrendous feeling. And last year, Chelsea losing the FA Cup final, I think was the catalyst for all of the problems that they suffered this season. They've not had a great season. I don't think Antonio Conte, and I'm going to be talking about all of this in much more detail in my Premier League season review. But I don't think Conte is going to be there at Chelsea much longer. So it was good that if he does leave, he goes out with a trophy, and 2 trophies in 2 years, Premier League and FA Cup, that is deemed as a successful, he's had a successful reign at Chelsea. But they got the job done. They didn't win in the most prettiest fashion. It wasn't the most prettiest game, out of truth, but Chelsea get one over on Jose Mourinho, lift the FA Cup, and also, thank you, Chelsea, because stopping Manchester United winning yesterday means that Arsenal are still the most successful side in FA Cup history. So thank you so much for that. But it wasn't the most particularly great FA Cup game and FA Cup final. But at the end of the day, Chelsea get the job done, and on a day which was, a proud to be British day. The atmosphere was electric. It just everything that symbolises the FA Cup yesterday was, brought to the forefront, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful day. Glorious weather, not the greatest game. The game didn't really live up to the hype and expectations, but the expectations that were laid down was a great, and everything, the build up the layout, the interiors, you know, the music, just everything brought up to a great day. You know, and building on what we saw in the morning, it was just a great day in general, and fair play to Chelsea getting their hands on the FA Cup. It's their first FA Cup since 2009. They last won the FA Cup under Carlo Ancelotti. And you know, they got to the FA Cup final last year, but yeah, they got back on the roll of honours. Whether they're gonna, you know, hold on and retain the FA Cup, not sure if they can do that. It's gonna be interesting to see who leads the FA Cup this time next season. And just quickly to review the entire FA Cup campaign on a whole, really. You know, from an Arsenal point of view, so disappointed, and definitely Arsenal underperformed in this FA Cup campaign. You know, the fact that they got to the third round, you know, Nottingham Forest, fair play to them. You know, you saw my thoughts of it, that the fact that the FA Cup holders got knocked out the first time of asking to retain their FA Cup trophy, and the fact that they got ripped apart by Nottingham Forest side was just, I mean, that's one of the reasons also why Arsene Wenger has left Arsenal, because that just isn't good enough. You know, you think of Wigan beating Manchester City, knocking them out, you know, fair play to them. And what I love about the FA Cup is, you know, expect the unexpected in the FA Cup. You know, nothing goes according to the script, and that is the beauty of the FA Cup. On anybody's day, everybody treats the FA Cup like a cup final. So on any given day, you could take form, you could take previous results, you take all of the past out of the equation. You don't look ahead to the future, you just focus on the game in hand, and it can produce the most shocking stories that you could possibly imagine. And that is what makes the FA Cup so magical. That's what makes the FA Cup so magical, just because of the fact that there is so many stories that can be written, there's so many tales that are told, and it is a fabulous competition. And you know, I'm a big believer and advocate of, you know, pushing the FA Cup and getting it back to its roots. You know, I don't remember because I wasn't alive, but my dad telling me stories about, you know, waking up on the FA Cup final morning, and you know, you see the buses, you see the training. It was a whole day of build up. You then get the game at 3 o'clock, and then you see the after party, you know, pieces of videos. In recent years, we've sort of started to get back to that, but we still haven't got back to the FA Cup being a whole day where it's all about one game over 90 or 120 minutes, where at the end of the day the best side get their hands on a trophy. All in all, it's been a successful competition. We've had the shocks, you know, Liverpool, you know, Arsenal, Manchester City being knocked out, Manchester United overcoming Tottenham Hotspur at Wembley, but then suffering, and Jose Mourinho suffering his first English final, I think it's his first English final defeat. You know, he normally wins, you know, cup finals and normally gets trophies. A trophy this season for Manchester United. You know, Chelsea are kind of, you know, paper over their big cracks. They've got some big cracks in their side for Chelsea Football Club, but they kind of paper that all over with a successful trophy. I won't say it's been a successful season, but if you win a trophy, it does count as a level of success. I know I would love to have my hands on an FA Cup trophy. You know, so, you know, fair play to Chelsea. Great FA Cup competition on the whole. Plenty of shock, surprises and tales. I think probably the best team of the tournament, probably, you know, you could say Chelsea, but, you know, I'd have to give it to maybe, like, you know, Wigan maybe, when, you know, overcoming Manchester City. Southampton had a very, very good tournament getting to Wembley. Spurs also performed well, but again, they you know, Tottenham, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but they get so far, they get so close, but yet so far, so they get all the way to that final moment, and then they always fall down. So, you know, that is something that they desperately need to work on. But all in all, a successful tournament. Chelsea, after falling out of the FA Cup final last year, falling into a defeat at the final hurdle, they have made up for it and have got their hands on a trophy. Fair play to Conte, fair play to Chelsea. Not quite sure what the future holds for Chelsea, nor do I know what the future holds for Manchester United, but the FA Cup is done and dusted, and next for us to finish off the season before the World Cup gets underway, it is the Champions League final. Can Liverpool defy the odds? And that is really going to be a cracker. Liverpool up against Real Madrid. I'm going to be doing a match preview and reviewing the Champions League season and final on my channel. Also going to be bringing you a Premier League season review. I'm working on that currently before my World Cup content starts, so plenty on the channel to keep you occupied in terms of football. Please make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to it if you're new around here, and check out my other great content as well. Follow me on DJ Bagpuss. Yeah, follow me at DJ Bagpuss1998 on Twitter, and check out my other great content as well. And until next time, take care, and I shall see you all later. Take care, and I shall see you all soon.